Hello, 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 everyone. Good evening. Good to see everybody in here. Hey, Linda. All right, number one, girl. You're number one tonight. Amen. And Kaylee, number two. All right. Good evening, Prayer Garden. Much love and love for the missing children. Hey, girl. God bless. Purple Hearts for Summer. Amen. Number two in here tonight, girl. Number two. Hey, Bridget, number three. All right. Hello, PG. Good evening to you and much love to you and little man and justice for Summer Wells also. Amen. Hey, girl, that's beautiful. Purple Hearts for Summer. I appreciate that. All right. We got Linda number one, Kaylee number two, and Bridget number three. Titty number four. Hello, Prayer Garden. Justice for Summer. Amen. Purple hearts below it. God bless. Good to see you all in here tonight. For real. Hey, Jean, how you doing, sweetie? Miss Justice. She's at the top. She's at the top. Much love, PG. Prayers, love, and justice for Summer. Amen. All right, let's keep moving. We'll be at the bottom here in a second. Second to none. How you doing? I always gotta say my howdy doodies to everybody, right? Absolutely. Hey Brenda. Good to see you, girlfriend. Let me see. There's Robin. All right. Hi, Chicka Boom Boom. How you doing, Chris? I didn't miss you. Patty Ponytail. Hey D, how you doing? Oh, I appreciate that, Miss Justice. Absolutely. Please remember to hit the like, the thumbs up, hit the bell for notifications. Absolutely. God bless. All right. I think I'm at the bottom, you guys. I believe I'm at the bottom. Thank God. Hey, Jersey, how you doing? Estrella, Crystal, good to see everybody. Hey, girl, much love and prayers to you. Absolutely. I'm sorry, you guys. Wasn't able to get in Thursday. I wasn't able to get in Thursday. I wanted to come in and talk about this, but my God had other plans, right? God had other plans, so my feet needed to be somewhere else, and but they're here tonight. Hey, Minnie Pearl, there you are, girl. I see you. um, but we're here tonight. We're gonna cover this. Oh, that is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Hey, God bless. A lot been going on, right? Lots been going on. I guess there's a lot going on in the Nancy Guthrie case. Something about possibly the suspect may have slipped up and gave their name, or at least a clue to who they are. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing, right? And Michael Vaughn case. Old boy was trying to get out of being prosecuted, right? And the judge said no. They was trying to say, there was no circumstantial evidence to hold him to, anything and so forth and so on. And nope, there was, out of his own mouth, right? The judge said, out of your own mouth, we got enough to, to go ahead and put this all through. So Um, good thing that's gonna, that's going forward now. And we'll see, you know, I guess everything's all set for, September. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Yeah, Stacy was trying to get out of it, right? And hopefully they get the other three. If these people are guilty, hopefully they all pay the price for what they done. Um, and I ain't heard much about Genesis' case. That's the little girl who the mother supposedly, allegedly put in a duffel bag and actually threw away right around Christmas, right around Christmas of 2025. And they thought they was going to be able to retrieve the duffel bag um, out in the landfill, but so far, nothing. Um, it's kind of like her case, is ran cold. Um, but they do got the mother. They do have the mother, and they are holding her responsible for what happened to this little girl. I guess she's going to get prosecuted regardless if they find the little girl or not. Hopefully they find her. Hopefully somehow, some way, they find her. I think that, the the cruelest part of people doing evil is when they don't allow the victim to be found in order to be, in order to be laid to rest properly. It ain't about, you know, um, overly giving the family closure or anything like, or peace of mind or anything like that. It's about what they did to the victim themselves. They basically denied that victim, after doing such evilness, they denied the victim, a proper resting place. And I just think that's double evil, in my opinion, right? Um, it's all about the victim. And it's just sad. It's sad that they're so damn wicked that they won't even let the person have a proper resting place. That's super evil right there. That's on a whole new level. And but some people are, what I'm saying is, if you're measuring people by evilness, that's an extra measurement right there. Um, that humans should think about. You should really think about it. Um, because that person, that person's more, sinister than what you would want to encounter, right? You wouldn't want to encounter or entertain that type of evilness for sure. Absolutely not. That is very bad. Yeah. Yeah. Most evil people, they at least, you know, um, leave the body exposed somewhere to be found. They at least, give the victim the courtesy of being found and being laid to rest properly. Um, like I said, it's a whole new extension to evilness when it's a case like Michael Vaughn's, like Summer Wells, you know, um, Little Genesis, Sebastian Rogers, Nancy Guthrie. Even little Emmanuel, right? Even little Emmanuel, these parents ain't being honest to where and what they did with the little guy's, remains. Um, those kind of people, they need to be locked away and the key threw away too. And that's my opinion. I think law enforcement should lock them away for life. Um, I was over at Brooks was covering. I was Brooks covering these women who have they encountered wickedness, right? That actually stole their babies away, and in the process of stealing their babies away, it left these women unalived, right? Most of them unalived. I think there was like maybe one woman that was done like that may have lived, may have survived, the encounter of someone being that wicked. I mean, there's some people, it was a case where, these people are so wicked that, like one case, a lady said she had some baby stuff for sale, and a young girl goes to her house, thinking she's going to get new baby clothes and beds and some new baby stuff at a good price. And she shows up there, and this psychotic woman attacks the poor girl, and she's, I don't know how many months along, but she was definitely with child, and the crazy lady takes her baby, right? Just acts like a doctor and decides to take the baby out of the lady. And it happens quite a bit, if you're pregnant, or you have a daughter or granddaughter or somebody that's with child. You should let them know not to go anywhere alone, right? Don't be answering any type of ads for vehicles, or don't be, someone tells them, they got something that they like to give them, for the baby to come over and pick it up or whatever, meet them somewhere. Say no, absolutely not. A lot of people ain't warned about that type of stuff, right? But the Pacific woman that Brooks was talking about, she was getting, the death sentence, and for what she had done. And I thought that, that was too good for her. My opinion, I thought it was too good for her. I thought she should have had to sit in prison and think about what she did for eternity, right? I thought she should have to, it's a lot harder to live than it is to die, right? And I just I don't see, letting someone off that easy. But I'm all for, I'm all for life in prison. They can take my tax dollars, they can take my tax dollars and put it right towards life in prison, for wicked, evil people that can't function in society without hurting someone else. Um, I'll throw my tax dollars to that all day long. You know, I think that all of our tax dollars should be allocated more to protecting our society, right? Put people, give us a better, give us safer streets, give us better, better law enforcement, give us bigger jails, houses, give us a better court system. I think, I think that everything that could, I think they should probably take up donations to allocate, every state should take up donations to allocate towards cleaning up the streets, getting all this evilness off our streets. I think they should build insane asylums again. I really do. I think we could use more mental hospitals, for the mentally ill to be put away, and uh, and they should serve life too, right? They should serve life as well. I mean, if you want to go down that avenue, you know, if you want to, if you're an evil person and you want to claim insanity, then I say put you in a facility, an insane asylum with no ever getting out, right? Whether you go to prison or you go to the insane asylum, it's a done deal. I think the insane asylum should be just like prison. The only difference is you got people wearing around white coats, right? Instead of having the men in blue. That should be the only difference. And that's my opinion. Oh, absolutely, Stephanie. Absolutely. And places are way worse than prison. Um, I I did some research um, on those places. While I was in college, I did some research on the inside of some of them. Places. Before they was going out of business. And I'm going to tell you, there's some real um, stand up, stand up your hair on your head tales about those places. Um, one one of them that I had did some research upon um, actually had an attic. This was like back in the um, late 1800s, early 1900s. Um, they had, it was a particular insane asylum. And on the main top floor, and they didn't have AC back then, right? They didn't have no AC. It got hot and it got cold. There was no, and nobody heats the attic, right? Nobody heats the attic back then. Um, but long story short, when when the place got investigated and they went inside to that top attic floor, they said that it was the most horrific scene they ever seen in their life. They said it was standing room only up there. Like, there was so many people up inside of there. Um, the main top floor that they couldn't even sit down. It was just like they were stacked body to body, standing up, and they were, and these people were alive. They weren't. And yeah, it was absolutely horrible. and the condition they was in, and the stench, and you know what they were describing um, was horrific. So yeah, I would say them places are way, way worse. And you don't even know what was going on, on the freaking first, second, third floor, right? Of this building. It was, put it this way, um, I understand, I perfectly understand why, the old folks didn't, they say stay away from the guys in white coats, right? Stay away from psychologists, stay away from, doctors. Um, I guess they read up on a lot of that stuff too. Right? They must have read up on it too. But it's pretty scary stuff. Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to tell you, the poorhouse, they used to have this thing called the poorhouse. They didn't give you no, you didn't get no stamps. There was no SNAP. There was no, free monies. There was none of that, right? There was none of that back then. There wasn't even such thing as, they had what they call poorhouses. And it was, like it was basically um like a big old prison, you know, type type place as well. And it had, it was all fenced in, a giant piece of land, all fenced in. Um, and they had, they worked those people. If you went to the poorhouse, it was really bad. And they worked people in the gardens. You had to clean the place and wash dishes and wash clothes and whatever they put you on when you go in there, whatever duty that they felt you need to be doing. um and they were very vicious, very mean. They were separating the men from the women, and the children from the parents as well. If you go in there, and to my understanding, they was evil very evil to the kids, very evil to whoever went in there. It was not a place that you wanted to go, right? And people would work super hard to stay out of the poorhouses. Um, and, you know, that's something that this country could use as well. I mean, that's something that this country could use. It would definitely be an initiative, right? It was an initiative for people to work that ass and make their own. Kept them busy, right? It kept them busy because there was no free money. There was no free money. Everybody had to work. Um, and this country could use that, absolutely. Um, and they had a lot of other things going on back in that particular time and era, um, that would be beneficial today. If it ain't broke, why fix it? I think, when you start giving people free handouts, instead of respecting, they start expecting. And when they start expecting, and they they become ugly, they become evil, they become mean, if it gets cut off, you know and you can't have that. You can't let people just. We don't owe anybody a living in this country. We do not owe anyone free housing. We don't owe anyone free food. We don't owe anyone free anything. We don't owe them money. We don't owe them, food. We don't owe them free housing. We don't owe them. We don't owe them shit. They need to go out and make their own. If we're making our own, they got to make their own, right? Just saying. But anyway, that's a few thoughts. I mean, like Don and Candace Wells, for instance. Take Don and Candace. You know, if they would have had to go to a poorhouse, you know, Don might have been spending his money, or Don and Pam, the first wife. If they would have had to go to a poorhouse, if they couldn't make it, they had to go to a poorhouse, then maybe they would have worked harder, stayed off of illegal substances. They might have worked harder to stay out of those places, and they might have, amounted to something in life. I don't know. I mean, it's a long shot. It's a real long shot. But, it might have saved some children, um, from the hands of them, if life wouldn't have been so, easy. Because I'm pretty sure that Pam Wells was probably drawing SNAP benefits and medical and probably even cash, saying Don wasn't around, and Don was probably working, because that's pretty much how those people functioned back in the day. And I don't think that free money, was used in the right way. Just saying. And I still don't think it's being used in the right way. I don't think they've got away with anything yet. I really don't think they've got away with anything yet. That's just my opinion. They might think they have, but I don't think they have. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on in the background of Summer's case right now as we speak, that a lot of people out here have no idea what's going on back there. And I think they're trying to solve her case harder now than ever before. I don't know why. I really, I think I might. I'm not 100% sure. I think I might know. But they're on it. They're on it, and they're on it like with a vengeance. Law enforcement is on it right now with a vengeance. Trust me. Like you ain't never seen before. That's the truth. That's the truth. Absolutely, they did not cooperate at all. The lie detector's test was a lie. That's true. They didn't. They did not. They did not. They acted out and did not cooperate enough. Enough for it to be. Ronnie Lawson. Ronnie Lawson let a lot of stuff out of the bag. Especially now that he's getting ready to leave. He's let a lot out of the bag, and I just think that he knows it's going to come to light anyway. He knows it's all about to come to light. I think he thought the new sheriff was one of them good old boys, and I think now he's understanding that the new sheriff isn't a good old boy. The new sheriff is, affiliated with an outside force that has nothing to do with the inside of Hawkins County. And he's not going to operate with the good old boy shit. And I think Ronnie knows it. And I think Ronnie also knows that everything's coming to light. Well, I'm going to tell you, if Ronnie Lawson would have stayed sheriff, it would have probably took 20 years, to be honest with you. It probably took 20 years. The sad thing about a lot of cases is the evil people end up, the evil people end up meeting their maker before the case gets solved, right? Like some of these cases, don't get solved for 20, 30 years. And all the people, take for instance the JonBenet Ramsey case. The JonBenet Ramsey case, half the people involved in that case are now deceased, right? They're no longer with us. And I mean, more than likely, whoever did what was done to JonBenet Ramsey is no longer with us, right? They're probably deceased. That's just my opinion. I mean, a lot of people thought, that she had a bedwetting problem and the mother might have, came home from the party and, and got real upset, because of the bedwetting, might have, been woken up in the middle of the night with an issue like that, and allegedly, done something to cause what happened to happen, and then tried to stage it up. A lot of people thought that. Other people, had other ideals of what may have happened that, involved the mom and dad. A lot of people, I think the worst thing in the JonBenet Ramsey case was people trying to accuse her brother, Brooks, the little boy. And he had to live with that on his back his whole life. I think that was probably, the most insulting part of the whole thing. The saddest part of it all. Because I don't believe that boy, ever did anything to his sister at all. I just don't believe that. Absolutely not. But a lot of people, people are evil. Humans are evil. And, they're just evil. They don't care what kind of trauma they cause another human to go through in this life. You know, um, if this, if what they think may fit the narrative, then they're all for snatching onto it and implanting it into other people's minds and getting other people on board, and and really doesn't care the consequences that it's going to cause someone else to have to live with their whole life. It's just sad. It's sad what people, what this world would do to one another. Um, and it's for the dollar. It's for the dollar. You know, I think whoever did what they did to JonBenet Ramsey, I believe that, this is just my opinion, but I believe it was adults. I don't think any children were involved other than JonBenet. And I believe that some wicked, evil, disgusting adults done whatever happened to that child. That's just my opinion. Now, JonBenet Ramsey was a pageant princess, and a very beautiful one. Very beautiful. She was a beautiful child. Very highly intelligent child as well. And she was good. She was good at the pageants. What I'm saying is, she was a little superstar where the pageants were concerned. And as long as a child, if you have a child that wants to do pageants, I have nothing against pageants. I don't have nothing against competition, because this whole life is about competition. It's all about, the best person always gets the job, right? The one that's the most well dressed, the one that's the smartest, the one that's the most outgoing, the one that, doesn't have anything in their way to keep them from doing the job, the one that's the most motivated, they get the job. So you're going to have competition in this life. And I think that those little pageants, prepare people for the competition that you're going to run against in the future, in real life. But you also got to take in consideration that there's a lot of sick human beings in this world. You don't know who, and most people want to affiliate themselves, most sick human beings want to affiliate themselves where there's children, right? I mean, Don and Summer's case clearly shows that. Summer's case, shows Don and Pam Wells wanted to affiliate themselves with people who had children. They weren't looking at being friends with the parents, just, big cookouts, hang out, somebody else to talk to, other grown adults to talk to and communicate with while the kids all played together. They wasn't looking for that. Don and Pam Wells, and Don and Candace Wells, and Don's associated with both, right? But Don and Pam over in Arkansas, they were looking for children, people who had kids, like Lisa J. They didn't give a damn about Lisa J or her, or her adult hanging around and talking. They were looking straight at that child. That's the reason they took Candace in. They took Candace in because she was pregnant. She was going to have a baby. They wasn't looking at Candace. They was looking at her belly because they're sick. And, and then over in Tennessee, well, we got the same scenario going on, right? The same freaking scenario over there. They was looking at Allison for her kids. They were looking at Marlena for her kid. They're sick. I don't care what anybody says. That's a sickness. That's a mental issue right there, a very bad one. And so, with that being said, you know, those pageants are the same way. You think that you just got what the only difference is you got high class donning Candaces hanging around. Matter of fact, the lady that um, was tied up in the Jeffrey Epstein case happened to be at those pageants, didn't she? They had a picture and she's sitting right fucking there. And what was she? She was a groomer. Allegedly, she's a groomer. She goes out and finds, she was out finding people, you know, to groom into pure evilness. And she seemed to find quite a few of them, right? She was able to find quite a few of them. And there she was at those pageants. You know, that's a reason not to let your child get into that stuff because you just don't know. But, the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, even the schools, even the brick and mortar school, your kids are not safe because people like Don and Candace, they want to get jobs. They want to get jobs where? In places that have children. They want to, they want to be Sunday school teachers. They want to be, grade school teachers. They or middle school teachers, high school teacher. It depends on what age group. If they're mentally messed up, it depends on what age group of child. They got their sights set on. Your children are not safe. Your children are not safe in this world because you got too many of these weirdos running around and you don't know who they are. Evil don't have a certain face. It doesn't have a birthmark. It doesn't have a tattoo, on its face. You don't know who these evil people are because they look like everyday fucking Joes running around. And therefore, you don't know who you can trust and who you can't. I agree. Hey, Italian cookie. I agree. Let a child be a child. Absolutely. The one thing I know about humans that in each category, I don't care if it's a evil human. I don't care if it's one of them mediocre sinners, the ones that just do little things that don't amount to nothing. They might tell a few lies or, just do, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. You've got different levels. You've got different levels of evilness. You got different levels of, of sin out there in the world. We all sin. We all fall short of the glory of God. But some people sin way freaking more on a whole different level than other people. But it doesn't matter, if it's an evil person or a mediocre sinner or, a on the fence Christian or a complete Christian. It don't matter. The only difference between humans is how they wrap it. What I'm trying to say is you take super evil humans. They come in all different wrappings. You have the ones that wrap it like Don and Candace, poor as hell. Ain't got a pot to piss in, a window to throw it out of. Then you've got, the ones who, you know, wrap it middle class. You know, they fit in with everybody. And then you're going to have the ones that, you know, look like you know, they work in an office or they work in a big building. And then let's go on up the line, because now you got the ones that, you know, are in Hollywood, and you got the ones that, you know, wear big suits and drive really super expensive cars. You know, don't matter how they fucking wrap it. They're as sick as Don and Candace. They're as evil as Don and Candace. And you have people wrapping it the same way that, you know, that are evil, but they wouldn't be evil to that extent. And then you have the people who, you know, your regular old sinners that, like I said, you know, they just ain't got right yet. And they all wrap it on those different levels too. You got it in every class, poor, middle class, upper class, rich, beyond rich. You know, um, that's you know. So if you think just because somebody's wearing a suit, driving a fancy car, they're safe, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. You know, do not let the way a person wraps it fool you for even a second. Evil comes in all forms. So does righteousness. I mean, in the same way, you know, it's the same way with their faces, right? Same way with their faces. You got good looking evilness. You got ugly as mother freaking sin evilness. You know, just because they're good looking, don't trust them. Just because they're ugly as a mud fence, don't trust them. You know, don't trust them. You know, that's the one thing I can say, that evil does have a stench. Evil people have a stench to them. It's like a haunting smell that, you know, that protrudes from them. I don't understand that, but it's the truth. Put a 1 in the chat if you've ever noticed that the evil people around you, you know, we all know evil people. They ain't a damn one of us can say, oh, no, I don't know anyone evil. Every last one of us knows somebody fucking evil. And they have a stench. When they come into your house, they leave an odor that you don't want in your presence. And that's just the truth. I don't know what the hell it is, but they have it. For real. And it protrudes from them, right? It protrudes from them. And ain't nothing they can do about it. There isn't enough cologne in the world to cover up that stench. Just saying. I mean, righteous people don't have that stench. Righteous people do not have it. You know, I haven't ever smelled anything like that on a, you know, on a real child of God, on a real righteous person. Real righteous people just don't seem to have, you know, they don't seem to have no odor at all. Period. It's just like, you know, soap and water. But evil people, they can, you know, even if they use soap and water, they can use all soap and water in the world. It won't help them. I mean, wouldn't you not want to be evil just for that reason alone? Wouldn't you not want to be evil just so you don't smell like that? I ain't never figured it out. I ain't never figured out, you know, I ain't never figured out why people want to be evil. I mean, evil people have a stench. Nobody likes evil people. Nobody gives a freak about them. They're not going nowhere in life. They're not going to ever go anywhere in life. They're going to end up in Hades the day that, the day that God calls them. Every hair on our heads are numbered. And when their number's up, they're going to a bad place because they were so evil. They ain't got a damn thing to gain. They just seem to have everything to lose. But yet they'd still choose to be evil. I don't understand that. And not like that, but with time, the outside of them, I don't care how pretty they was. I do not care how pretty they was. They become ugly as hell. Like the evilness starts to show on the outside. As they get older, all of a sudden, like something ugly just starts coming out of their faces, and they just, they're just ugly. And they don't have, why the hell would you want to be evil? I don't understand it. It's not appealing to me. I mean, when you see all of God's children, all the righteous people running around, and they look full of life, and they look, they look so good, they look so healthy, they look so, happy. They look like they got everything to gain, nothing to lose. Why would you not want to jump on that? I mean, I think that's the way to go, right? I mean, you go to church and you see these 60, 70, 80-year-old women, and man, they look like a fountain of youth. You walk out of the church, right? You walk out of the church, you get in your vehicle, you're going down the road, and you see some of these, some of these evil people who, are on illegal substances and doing all kinds of evil stuff, stealing and lying and just doing evil things. And they look like, they're like 20, 25, and they look like they're 50 or 60. And you just came from a church where somebody 50 or 60 look like they're 30. They got more get up and go than these evil people do. And it's like, wow, that's God right there. Right? That's God. I'm going to tell you, this country needs to go back to, if you don't work, you don't eat. If you do not work, you don't eat. That's the way this country should go back to. Everybody has to work. There's no freebies, no free houses, no free cars, no free monies, no free anything, no free food, no free nothing. Get off your ass and work for what you got. And you know what? People wouldn't have time to go sticking their nose in everybody else's business. They wouldn't have time to, to sit around and make up reasons to why they should be evil to that person or this person or whatever. Right? They wouldn't have time for that. When everybody back in history, when everybody had to work, there wasn't a damn thing free other than your Social Security, and you had to work 30 damn years to get that or more. Well, people they didn't give a damn what you're doing. Your neighbor didn't care what you're doing. They was busy doing their own. They had to pay their bills. They didn't give a damn how you paid yours. They didn't come sticking their nose in your business. They was too busy taking care of their own. And that's what this country needs to go back to. No more freebies. Just saying. That way nobody would be expecting it. And when they don't get it, they start getting ugly. Nobody would expect anybody to owe them a damn thing. They wouldn't be looking for free shit if there was no free shit to get. Just saying. That's my opinion. Well, our government should not ever be allowed to touch like Social Security. The government should not be ever been allowed to borrow against the people's money. That was we the people's money. They had no rights taking, the money that all the people worked, paid into in order to be able to sit down and, and still be able to pay their bills when they retire. No one had a right to be doing that. That should have been, there should have been a law against that. There should have been something put in to stop them from doing that. And not only that, but I don't think, like a lot of the Social Security is getting taken up by, children, with disabilities. I think if a person has a child with disabilities, they should have to take care of that child until it's 18 to 21. And if the child isn't able to take care of itself after that, then it should be able to get, Social Security disability, but not until after it's 18 to 21. Because when someone has a child, parents have a child, the parents are responsible for the child, not the government. The parents are. And like in the school system, a lot of parents, parents want their child to have a disability just so they could try to get that monies, right? And that money shouldn't be there for people to, want to try to, capitalize off of. That's my opinion. Yeah. And, well, I'm going to be honest with you. If they can make from kindergarten to grade 12 free, then college should be free too. I mean, when you get out of high school, it should be your choice to further your education or not. But if you do want to further it, all that college should be free because you're going to be serving people to go to college to be doctors and lawyers. They go to college, to be to run corporate companies, corporate management, and psychologists, people need them. Doctors and lawyers, people need them. Corporate managers, people need them. So if a person wants to go, veterinarians, people need them. There's a lot of jobs with big needs, architects, people who construct big buildings and everything. People need them. And now that college should be free because why? Because all of these people going to that college are going to go into the world and make it better. They're going to make the country better. They're going to go out there and they're going to assist everyone else in the world and their needs. So they're giving back. They're giving back, for 20, 30 years. They're going to be given back to society. And therefore, the college should be free. And they shouldn't be, nobody should get any extra money. If you say you want to go to college in another state, well, you should have to get a job in that state, get an apartment in that state, and go to the college in that state. But it should be free. But you shouldn't get free meals, or you shouldn't get free housing. You shouldn't get, you shouldn't get no money for living expenses. You should, you should work through high school. If you want to go to college, you should work through high school, save the money in order to put yourself, to buy your food and pay your rent and do everything that you want to do while you're going to college, right? What I'm saying is you need to keep yourself up while you get educated. There should be no free loans. That's right, because college should not, cost money. Colleges should be as free as, grade K through 12. That's just my opinion. Italian cookie. Italian cookie. What's up with Italian cookie? Right. That's right. Like Jennifer's, yeah, absolutely. Was trying to get her daughter, diagnosed with, whatever. Exactly. I don't see a problem in here with Italian cookie. No, I don't remember that. I don't remember that, Australia. Girl, I'm going to have to talk to you after the live tonight. Did I? I missed it. I was multitasking. Well, I don't know. To be honest with you guys, um, I've been so busy. I've been so busy. I've been so tired lately. I've been really tired. Um, I've got a lot on my plate. A lot on my plate right now, in my personal life. And I got a lot on my plate, where I do this as well. My job, um, my family, and I do all of this too. And you know, I don't get a lot of rest, to be honest with you. I do not get a lot of rest. And I just try, I'm really just trying to live and let live. That's the truth. Girl, I'm going to tell you what. back to work. I don't think I've ever stopped. Right? I'm working. It's like I'm working all the time. I'm working if my ass ain't working, my brain is. Um, yeah, my life, far back as I can remember, my life has been, since I've been old enough to really work, I've been working nonstop. I've worked nonstop, always. It's like, you ever wonder when you're going to get to sit down and actually live? Put a one in the chat if you feel me. Sometimes you just wonder if you're ever just going to get, able to sit down and actually live. I hear some people complain. They say, you know, I hear some people complain about, you know, how they're how they're alone, and you know how they got too much time on their hands, and you know I don't know what that's like. I don't know what it's like to have too much time on my hands, unless it's 2 o'clock in the morning. You know, I want to talk to somebody, but there ain't nobody to talk to. Because everybody else is sleeping. You're still up. Um, Other than that, I don't know what it's like. I very rarely, like I said, 2 in the morning, I might have some time on my hand. But, fuck, the rest of the time, I'm moving 90. Man, I promise after this live tonight, I'm going to be bugging somebody. Probably you, Australia. I'm going to call you, girl. As soon as I get off this live, I'm going to be calling you. Don't be surprised when your phone's ringing, because I'm straight up calling you. Yeah, let's keep it about summer. Let's do that. I'm sorry. I'm just going back to the chat, I'm just going back to try to see something. I'm just going back to try to see something, because all of this reminded me of something else. All of this reminded me of something else. Yeah, I'm getting it on the road. I'm going to get it on the road. Just give me a minute, because I'm looking for somebody. Hmm? Okay. Anyway, yeah. You guys reminded me. You guys reminded me of um of something I needed to do. Karen A. Karen A. You are a backstabber. You are. You are actually two-faced as they come. And over, and I'm being nice tonight, you guys. I am being really nice tonight. I mean, um, you know, I'm not, I'm not, you know, I'm not using any bad language. If you took note, I am not using any bad language. Um, at all. I'm holding my posture and my self in a professional manner tonight. That's how I hold myself most of the time. At least I want to. It's hard to do in a world today. But point being is Karen A has been putting her little puns here and there so she could go back with the mean girls and have herself a laugh. Well, see how long those mean girls hang out with you now. Because you know what? PG's done with it. I'm done with it. The mean girls only want to hang out with you so they can get a laugh with you because they dislike PG. They got a real problem with PG. And if they can get you, oh yeah, and Benny Keys is one of the mean girls, right? He's one of the ladies. Absolutely. And and so is Brooks. So is Brooks. Well, you go hang out with them because you are no longer a benefit to them. You ain't over here to put a little pung no more. You ain't on Facebook to put a little pung no more. It won't be no sniggering and giggling at all. You should have watched what happened to Pam, right? Should have watched what happened to Pam Tate. You should have watched what happened to Lisa J. You should have watched what happens to all these people. Once PG disposes of them. If you ain't at my disposal, nobody wants you fucking anyway, okay? It's not you. It's about me. They only want to use and abuse you until I'm fed up with you. And when I'm fed up with you and you're gone, they have no use for your ass any longer. Because that's how evil works. And your ass is gone. You're gone. Now you go anywhere you want. Talk all the fucking shit you please. Because you know what? I'm not there to see or hear it. I don't give a fuck about it. I don't even care about you anymore. I'm done. You know, I was nice to you. Way back when I first came here, you had a bunch of stuff going on. You had nobody to talk to. I sat and listened to you. Thought you were crazy as fuck. But I said, okay. I don't care. I don't care, you know, how fucking crazy you are. I like crazy. So it don't bother me. I was a real friend. You wasn't. That's your bad, not mine. You could start stepping. I'm done. Just saying, I'm done. I put up with a lot. I put up with a lot. To do what we do, I put up with so much. But I'm going to tell you something. I ain't putting up with that. I'm not putting up with that. When I know for a fact what you're doing behind my back and you continue to do it, now I'm going to tell you, I overlooked her when she was over there in that chat talking about me. I overlooked her. You know, I said, she's been with us for a long, long time. You know, maybe she'll see her airy way. Maybe she'll see the truth. You know, I always have hope for people. Maybe that's my problem. I try to keep them on. I hope they change. But she wasn't changing. And I'm going to tell you, I can put up with people for a long, long time. But when you be doing stuff to me in my darkest hours, that's when you make a fatal mistake. Do not fuck with me when I'm going through some shit. That is no time to be fucking with me. You messed up. You messed up, Karen. You messed up. People, you know, do not take my kindness as a weakness, because there ain't a damn thing weak about PG. I ain't weak. I'm far from weak. Trust and believe me.
In life for life, my trail cams were indeed erased, and we did report that to law enforcement, and we reported why.
Listen to her lie. Listen to JodiSue.
In life for life, my trail cams were indeed erased, and we did report that to law enforcement, and we reported why. In life for life, my trail cams were indeed erased, and we did report that to.
Oh, my cameras has been erased. And we did report that to law enforcement. And we do know why.
To law enforcement, and we reported why. And no, they were not erased or messed with by JD. It was by the next hill.
Well, JodiSue, let me tell you something. You can recover erased photos on trail cams. Yes, you can. When images are deleted from the SD card, they are not permanently erased. No. No, they're still there until you overwrite them, right? Until you film something else over top of it. It'll say you've got that storage now. But you can restore that storage as long as you don't store other stuff over top of it. That's why you took the cameras down. You took those cameras down because you, for one, on June the 14th, you did not want law enforcement seeing you and Donald. You did not want law enforcement seeing what the Light brothers came inside the holler and saw on the 14th. You and Andy and Don and Candace and all them kids at the bottom of the property having a big hee-haw we all are having a good time talking BS and then come up with an ideal. Maybe we should blame all this on Jackie Dobbs instead of Don's co-worker, Dudley. Maybe it'd be better to go put something in the area he's staying to blame it all on him, put an innocent man in prison for something he absolutely didn't do in order to keep from pissing off Dudley, who might decide to retaliate for the evil you tried to do against him. Not to mention he was a really good worker that Don Wells lied his ass off on. And Don really would have liked to mended that fence and kept the help because it was a lot of help to him. Right? Right. But because you couldn't find Mr. Dobbs anywhere, you guys had to stick with the original bullshit plan that you had made for weeks. You and Andy know exactly what happened to Summer, and you know exactly why it happened to Summer. That's why you have kept your ear so close to the fucking ground on this case. Stop lying. You couldn't have them trail cams or any cams around there when you knew all of this crap was about to go down. That's why you guys ran Jackie Dobbs off, because you didn't want him sitting there telling everything he saw the next day when you guys already had big plans against an innocent 5-year-old child. Shut the hell up. That's my opinion, and I would bet that I'm 99.9% right. That 1%, it's out the window. Ain't coming back, JodiSue, because it says I'm right too. It says I'm right as well. Absolutely. I mean, you got Don Wells changing up his vehicle on the 14th, firing his coworker to blame it all on. He comes back home. He comes back home from work, finds Jackie Dobbs in there. He contacts JodiSue and Andy, which comes flying down. They get rid of Jackie Dobbs with law enforcement. When they're all down there talking, they come up with a brilliant idea. Hey, let's go plant something around where he's at. Instead of blaming Dudley. Right? Let's blame this old man who couldn't catch a turtle, let alone a child. Right? Oh, let's blame him. They took down all of those cameras. Now, JodiSue did have a camera. Right here's the proof. Right there's the proof. Now, that's not Jackie Dobbs. And that is not Dobbs' dog. That is an old neighbor of theirs. This is somebody that lives around there. That's a neighbor. That's not Jackie. That's not his dog. As you can see, there's Jackie. That's not Jackie. There he is. No way in hell. That's old Jackie. So that shows they did have cameras. But them cameras were all taken away. And they were taken away before Jackie Dobbs got up there. That's why JodiSue couldn't show you no footage of Jackie or Jackie's vehicle other than what she took off of her damn phone. She used her phone to snap pictures of the man while she was down there with her and Andy, law enforcement. She caught pictures of him on her phone. But she had no trail cam footage of Jackie Dobbs because they done got rid of it all. They done knew what was coming down on the 15th, and they done put away everything. And Fred Hill had no cameras either. That's bullshit. Fred Hill at the beginning of this kept saying JodiSue and Andy had trail cams. JodiSue and Andy had, Fred Hill knew everybody who had cameras because he made it his business to know where the cameras were. But he didn't know about the one at the end of Ben Hill Road where you come out onto Beach Creek. Obviously, he missed that one. And that's the one that law enforcement was able to use to understand that Chad Arnold went out of Ben Hill Road with Candace right behind him in Grandma's vehicle. And they wanted to talk to Candace about all of this. They asked Candace about that. And Candace said, no, she didn't come out off the hill a second time. They told her when you arrived home, you had come off that hill before you called us. You came off the hill around 4:30. And then you came back off the hill again after you called us. Why did you come off the hill the first time? You came off that hill 2 different times. She said she didn't come off out of there 2 times. Just once, she kept saying, and that was her story. She's sticking to it. And if they wasn't going to arrest her, she wanted to leave. And she came back to the vehicle laughing her ass off. I know. I was there. So I'm going to let you know right now. She came out of there twice. There was one camera inside Ben Hill Road, and it belonged to someone down at the end of the road where you go out onto Beach Creek. It was nowhere back in the damn holler. Every camera back in there seemed to disappeared. The ones that JodiSue had, Fred didn't have any, and if he did, his was gone too. But he didn't have none. I remember at the beginning, he said JodiSue and Andy was the ones that had cameras. So he made it his business to see who could and didn't. A lot of people in there did not have cameras because they had something better than cameras. They had a big pack of dogs on the corner of Beach Creek and Ben Hill. barking like hell, alerting everybody inside of there that somebody's ass just came in. They knew when people came in that holler and went out of it. Them mother freakers were like, they were like a full-blown operating system. Like JodiSue was sitting up there with these big mother freaking headphones on, plugging into every fucking body. And Don Wells was doing the same. You had a bunch of operators inside this. Like 1930 ones. Oh, let me connect to Mr. Smith or somebody in the holler. Let me go over here to freaking Mr. Wells. Somebody's in the holler. Let me go over here to Mr. Goats. Somebody's in the holler. Let me go over here. Let's go to the hills. Let's go to the freaking Bernards. Let's go to, everybody in the mother freaking place. They might as well just turned on a big freaking siren. Whoop, 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 whoop. Somebody's in the holler. They all knew it. There was nobody came in there. I mean, you see how fast they descended down upon Jackie Dobbs? Are you kidding me? You really think somebody's going to get in there and snatch any child up? When that guy couldn't even get in there and get on his damn land? He barely got his dog out to use the restroom, and they were already on him. That guy, he just barely pulled in, and Don done spotted him, talked to him, and called Andy and JodiSue about him. These people were 411. And that's why there was no cameras. JodiSue told a lie about a scream. She made up a scream. Why would Candace think that she could ask JodiSue to change the time of the scream if the scream was real? Make that make sense. Because I know for a fact that JodiSue was asked to change the time of that scream, and she said no, because law enforcement done found it. Right? JodiSue knows I'm telling the truth. These people right here are very evil. And let me tell you something, they're like them dogs. They're running in a pack. They're a pack of them. And they know it. And they're all vicious. They're vicious as hell. Including JodiSue, Andy, Don, Candace, Grandis, Fred, Laura, Marlena Crawford, her brother, her freaking sister-in-law, her sister, her sister's old man, Chad Arnold. All of these people are evil. They're all evil. They all on the same shit. There's a big pack of them. And trust me, Allison was in on it. All of these people. You think Leslie was, this fine, upstanding? No. None of these people fine, upstanding. All of these people were evil. All of them. They just evil. I don't care what anybody says. Take a look at their kids. Their kids ain't nothing but freaking trouble. Nothing but trouble. When you got 3 kids and all 3 are trouble, the parents are trouble. I understand families that's got, a couple people that's super trouble. But everybody trouble, the parents are trouble. Those kids ain't been raised right. A lot of times it stems from people having children too young. People have kids too young. They're still a kid themselves. They're kids raising kids. Like Allison, for instance. Allison, acted like a child. She was a grown-ass woman, but she acted like a child. And Allison didn't care whatever. She's like she was growing up with her kids, right? She was growing up with them. And she was thinking about, about her and always caring about, what man could she pull in? Who could she see? Who could she get? Well, she should have been caring about her kids, right? I would think after having 3 kids the way she had with no man at all, she would have forgot about men and started focusing on raising her kids and raising them right. I would have thought she'd start focusing on becoming a better person and able to give her kids more and educate them so they could have more than what she had. I think she would have let her children know that, finding some man isn't what this life's about. I think she would have I think she would have told her kids, don't do a thing till you get that ring. Go to school, get educated, be able to take care of you before you try to go taking care of someone else. You can't take care of other people if you can't take care of your dang self. That's common sense. But the point being is she had cameras and they were gone too, right? Yes, Allison had cameras and the cameras were gone. Everybody seemed to do away with cameras on June 15th, 2021. No cameras. But then again, law enforcement wasn't looking for any. Why wasn't they looking for some? Why did law enforcement not take search dogs and cadaver dogs over to Allison's house? Summer came up missing on June 15, 2021. Why was there not search dogs and cadaver dogs at Allison's house on June 16th at freaking 8 o'clock in the morning? Searching Allison's place. Can somebody answer me that? Why was Hunter not picked up from the ball field and taken downtown for questioning? Why was Don and Candace and Grandis not put immediately into squad cars and squatted in to be interrogated? Why was Hunter not interrogated the very night of the 15th? Why was none of these people not questioned immediately so that they could, wouldn't lose or forget any of the information that pea brains were storing up. Why did law enforcement drop the ball that bad on this little girl's case? Because I'm going to tell you, it don't seem like an accident to me. This is way more than an oversight on law enforcement's behalf. This is a total turn a blind eye. I didn't see or know or really ain't looking for nothing with law enforcement. Why? Why were they not out to solve this baby's case? Because it could have been solved very fast, very simply, had law enforcement wanted to solve it. That's my opinion. I will keep it. They did not bring the feds in on it immediately. They did not bring the feds in on Summers' case immediately. Ronnie Lawson screwed off up there on that hill for 2 weeks. For 2 weeks, he screwed off up on that hill. He was up there for over a week and a half, running his little searches with his little hand-picked party of people. There was tons of professional searchers willing to come in there, willing to search for this little girl, but none of them was called in. He had his little hand-picked people. Somebody's trying to come up, but you are disconnected. Your device is not connected. So you will have to try to come back in. And when your device is disconnected, you have to come back in. Try it again. Something's wrong with the device. Whether it's your computer, your phone, however your whatever you're using, something's wrong with it. Okay. I gotta see you, Maddie. Yeah, open the cam, sweetheart. I can't see you. I can just see your ceiling, your wall. Okay, sweetheart, I see you. You are so beautiful. You are a baby doll. Okay, I'm bringing you up. Turn your cam off. How you doing, sweetheart?
Good, sweetie. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
That's good. What have you been up to?
A whole lot that I don't want to be up to. Right?
I just moved bedrooms because I'm freezing cold in my big one.
I'm
Went
going
to
to
church today.
Is it cold where you're at?
Oh, it's freezing. It's like snow. Feels like snow, but it's not snowing.
Wow. Wow. Is it always cold there, or do you actually have warm weather?
Oh, we get summer. We're just in winter.
Okay. So how long you got to wait for this all to pass and to get some good weather?
2 months. We go back to daylight savings.
Yeah, she is. She's just beautiful, Lisa. She is absolutely adorable. Maddie is beautiful.
I got
Uh,
I got new glasses on that you saw. I got like these light pink ones for watching TV so I don't get headaches.
yeah,
They like
yeah.
just a light clear pair. Just for like I don't know, everyday use.
Girl, you're so beautiful. I didn't even notice the glasses.
I just changed rooms, so I'm in mum's other spare room and I put all mum's stuff in my big room. My other room's like a house.
You sound just like my little girl. She's she takes everything of mine, puts in her room.
And she says I snore.
Yeah, I
I had to bring in all my Labubus, all the big ones.
I had the other day my my husband had got me a real pretty ring,
Oh,
and
how nice.
my daughter was like, yeah, it was for Mother's Day, and
That's nice.
my daughter was like, you're going to give it to me? And I said,
Oh,
no. I said, no. She said, your adorable daughter, you're not going to give
yeah.
it to your baby? And I was
Oh,
like,
how's your little one going?
I told her, I said, well, you know, if I was going to give it to my baby, uh,
How's
it
your
would
little
be
baby going?
it would be little man, right? It would be little man, and
Oh,
I don't even think it would fit on his big toe. It might. He's got big feet. It might.
how cute! I saw a cute little family today, little blonde babies.
I'm going to tell
They're
you, little man
beautiful.
is adorable. He is
Yeah, he sounds
adorable.
cute.
But yeah, my daughter, she's after my ring, and um,
It's
was
like
like,
me when mum gets something new.
well, you don't understand. She's in my jewelry box wearing everything anyway. I mean,
Oh,
it's
I
not
used
like,
to do that when I was 17. I stole all mum's good rings, all her makeup.
oh, let me
I
tell you,
took her
let me,
Chanel makeup.
I'll tell you what my daughter did. Um,
What did she do?
she actually got, um, into my jewelry box, and
Oh,
she had taken out um four or five of my rings, and she had took them to her room, and she had displayed them, and
really?
had them displayed, like, the cases opened on display.
Did you get a
And
video or something?
no, she got them stolen.
Wow.
Somebody she brought, one of her little friends or something. I didn't notice. She did not notice. But
Yeah.
somebody had took them,
Oh,
and I told her after that, no, absolutely not. I mean, she can come to my room. She can, if she wants to wear something, go ahead,
yeah.
wear it. But you bring it back, and if you don't bring it back, you don't take nothing else.
I had this
Um,
girlfriend years ago, one of my old
yeah,
friends that I grew up with. We would have been about 15, 16 back in the day. She used to go into her mum's safe and she used to get out all the rings, like all the expensive jewelry from the mother's mother that
right.
passed away, and she used to sell them behind her mum's back. I always wonder if she ever got caught.
Oh, I would have
Yeah,
told. I would have
yeah,
told on her. I would have straight up told on her, because
yeah. No,
that was sentimental. That was sentimental stuff.
I'm just not like that. Though. I don't like getting in
Mm-mm.
business.
Yeah, I
Too much
didn't.
drama.
I
I
didn't
used to
get.
be like that back in the day. I'm a complete different person.
I didn't
Don't
get
like
upset with
drama.
my daughter. You know,
Yeah,
it was
you can't get upset. It's the people you're
spilled
surrounded
milk.
with.
Spilled milk, girl.
Yeah.
Like I told her, it's just a lesson learned to, to not trust people. Do not think you can trust anyone. They're
No.
like I told her, I said, honey, I'm going to tell you right now, you ain't got you ain't got no friends in this life except God, Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
the Holy Spirit, the
They're
angels that
just
watch over
users.
you. And if you're real lucky, your mother. Other than
Yeah,
that,
your
you
mother's
better
your best
forget
friend.
about it. And some people can't even trust their mother. So, I told her, I said, what was you thinking to trust someone else, running in and out like
Yeah.
that? But, you know, I didn't, like,
Me
I
and mum
didn't,
are like sisters pretty much. It's like
I
we're like
didn't, she
sisters.
got no punishment, she didn't get no punishment or anything like that. I mean, I was in my
Yeah.
study room or, like I told her, lesson learned, for both of us. I
Yeah.
told her if I got to blame myself as much as I blame
Need to
her
put a
because
you need to put a lock on it.
I allowed her to, have people in the run of the house and stuff like that. I let my kids have their friend, but nobody's allowed, you know, um,
Yeah.
in the
Oh,
upper floors
oh,
where the bedrooms are anymore. They can come in and they can go to the game room. They can hang out and
mm.
and swim and they can shoot basketball and hang
Man,
around outside.
that'd be like my makeup. If I had mates over and they went through my makeup, I'd go off. All my makeup's so expensive.
Oh, I'm
I
going to
got
tell you. I tell you what. I don't even worry about makeup because
neither do I, but I wear it when I go away or when I go out.
my
Most
daughter, my daughter, she will have all of my makeup. Like I went and bought a real nice makeup kit, um, and it was absolutely beautiful, and it was very
yeah.
expensive. And she asked me, she
Hey.
said, "Can I use this?" And I told her, "Sure, go ahead." And I thought, next thing I know, she's going out the door with it. I said, "Where are you going?" She said, she
Oh,
said to her room, to her room. I said,
yeah,
she said, "I'll
cute.
bring it back." You know how they are.
That's all.
Takes it to
That's
her room.
cute.
And girl, I haven't seen it since. I have not. It went to her room and I don't know where the hell it went from there. Um,
Yeah.
but like with little man and everything, all I do in the morning is I get up, I shower, throw my hair up in a ponytail,
Yeah.
and ready to roll. And I'm going to tell you something. Like, since I had little man, when I
Mhm.
like right after I had him, I was still, still trying to um keep up with everything. But
Yeah.
like now, I'm like the hell with it, man. I don't even care. I don't even bother with the makeup and stuff. I'm just get my shower, pull my hair up, throw on, my little shorts and a mother
Yeah.
freaking sweatshirt and I'm running around the house. I got to sling diapers all day and baby bottles and
Yeah. Worry
then
about.
I got these teens running all over the place, right? And then I got Mr. Fix It who always look, oh my goodness, he done started on a new project and I'm worried. I'm very worried right now. Um,
Oh,
it's just like, you know, yeah,
crazy. Anyway, sweetie, I
yeah,
better
it
go.
is
Oh
crazy.
my! I've got to give my father a call. He's just moved house.
I heard you've been going to church, girl.
Yeah, I have.
And you're getting some Jesus in your life.
Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
good. But
How's
I'll
your
come.
brother?
Pardon? Yeah, he's good. He's really good. He's doing well. He's been in gym and stuff.
Since you guys been going to church and everything, you getting along a lot better and stuff.
We always have got along.
Well, that's great. That's great. So you're getting
Yeah,
along even better. You would be
I get
getting
along
along
with
even
my
better
family
now.
really well.
Yeah. Your mom is a beautiful soul. She is an
She
absolute beautiful
is.
soul. You guys look like your grandmother. You look
Yeah,
like
we
your mother's
think.
mother. I've seen a picture of your mother's mother, and you guys you really look
My
like.
cousin looks my cousin looks like my
I thought it.
sister.
I thought I thought that little girl was your daughter or your little
And she's
sister,
far from it. Yeah,
and then I heard she was, your cousin or something. I was like, what? She looks just like you guys.
she does. Anyway, I've got to go. It's nice talking to you. Got to give Dad a
Hey,
call
it's nice
before it
talking to
gets
you too,
late.
girl. You
But I'll
know it.
come and say hello this week when you're on.
Hey, anytime. You're welcome to
And
anytime. You know it.
tell everyone in the chat I said hello because I can't say it.
They hear you. They can hear everything you're saying. Everything you're saying, they're hearing you.
Well, I hope you all have a good night or day wherever you are.
Right? Our time zones are messed up.
Midnight.
Exactly.
You have a
Hey,
good one and God bless you.
I appreciate you coming up, girl. God bless you.
It's all good. God bless you.
Good night, sweetie. I love that girl. She is so cute. She is so cute. She got a beautiful soul, right? Anyway, I'm going to get back to Summer's case. So we know now that JodiSue says the chip didn't disappear. Like, I'm not going to stand there and delete a trail cam when I could just pull the chip and walk away. Put a one in the chat if you agree. I'm not going to erase somebody's chip when I could just take the whole damn chip and see what they've already saw, right? And I can have the chip. Why? If would I stand there and take time to erase it? That don't make no sense. It just, ain't it a lot quicker to just take the chip and leave? You're going to really stand there and take the risk of getting caught while you're picking and choosing what you want to delete? That don't make no sense. Right? That does not make no sense at all. None. And I'm going to tell you, these people are all affiliated. They was all keeping close contact on June 15th, on June 16th, on June 17th, right? They were Fred, Laura, and Fred was down there. If Donald and them wasn't at Fred's house, Fred was down there around their houses. These guys had their antennas up. Why would you have your antennas up if the case had nothing to do with you? Just saying. Just saying. I'm not going to say you wouldn't be interested, if law enforcement's found the child or not. I'm not going to say you ain't going to be watching the news, that you ain't going to, you're not going to be hearing a little gossip here and there about the situation being so close to you. But you're not going to be on top of one another with your ears up, wanting to know it all. Like, it doesn't apply to you. Why would you do that? You're not. But these people were. Right there. These two right here made up a fake scream. And then JodiSue went a step farther, wanting him to, put restraining orders against his dad so JodiSue could get a bunch of GoFundMe from everybody to be able to move off the hill. Everybody buy me a new trailer. Everybody help me maybe even get a piece of land to put it on. Everybody help donate to me. Boo hoo hoo JodiSue, right? everybody help me. And these, and that was at a time when, the YouTubers wanted receipts. I mean, receipt stuff was crazy, right? They weren't showing no receipts, but they wanted everybody else show receipts, show receipts. So, the people sponsoring her was wanting receipts. So she wanted her son to even go along with her. He went along with the scream. She figured he's going to go along with that. And he's like, no, this is where I end it. I'm not going to, if you want to put, get a restraining order for you and my sister in order to get free money, go ahead. But I'm not having nothing to do with it. I'm not going to go against my dad for you to get, supported by all these people out there. He drawed the line. He drawed the line and, and got away from it. And Fred says, JodiSue's son was up there in a pool when he had went up to Don and Candace's house about 3 weeks before Summer went missing. And nobody was supposedly in his pool except JodiSue's son and Summer. And Fred said, Candace came out of the house and Don wasn't there. Well, that ain't what Fred told me. Fred told me that Don Wells was inside that house. And so was Candace. Because I asked him, I said, Don and Candace were, yeah, he said they were both there. And they were in the house, and all the boys were in the house too. And I have that on recording. That's exactly what he said. But then he was talking to Chris, and he told Chris, no, it was just Candace in the house. And Don wasn't there. For some reason, Fred wanted to protect Donald when it came to Chris M. And I don't know why. Because I heard him talk about Donald on a couple of different occasions. And he tried, he kind of like wanted to isolate Donald and implicate Candace and everybody else. And if you took note, Donald was the one calling and trying to get a hold of Fred. Remember? Just a little bit back when they were on Van Hill Road. Remember they showed up over Van Hill Road and Donald was trying to call Fred and Fred acted like he wasn't answering for no Donald. Of course he answered for Donald. These people's been keeping contact. Donald's a friend on Fred's Facebook, right? Donald's his damn friend. These people are all keeping contact. Come on. Candace kept saying she wasn't with Donald in order to take people to the cleaners. And, and then when Dee Dee came along, I'm going to tell you something about evil. Evil has no brains. Evil has no brains whatsoever. Like, it just don't. It just don't. Evil is not able to see, evil will destroy the best things they got going for them. Right? They will destroy the best thing they got going for them because evil don't think long term. Evil's on a short term, memory bank. And they don't think past the end of their nose. And, that's the problem with them. Hey, spread the love. I appreciate that. For real. That will so help. Pay for StreamYard, help the channel. God bless. I appreciate that, girl. But yeah, evil don't think past the end of his nose. What I'm saying is, when Candace met Dee Dee, for instance, Dee Dee was helping Candace, in the long run, Dee Dee would have been more beneficial to Candace than, than than what happened. What I'm saying is, Dee Dee was, somebody that Candace could rely on. Like right now, Candace could have still been relying on Dee Dee to help her, but it's all gone. It's all gone. She was so eager to try to take everything Dee Dee had. And, and in my opinion, she destroyed Dee Dee, right? She destroyed her. I don't care what anybody says. That's what I think. That's what I believe. That is my opinion. That she did something wicked to this woman to destroy her, to get, her hands where they didn't belong. And all she did is destroy her future. What could have helped her more and benefited her more is gone. Because that's the way these idiots think. Everything's gone now. She don't got nothing to fall back on. But that woman was something to fall back on for many, many years. She would have been there for Candace if Candace would have knew how to be a real friend and be there for somebody else. But Candace ain't. She's a fucking snake. And when you go out there and when you bring a snake home, don't be shocked when something happens like that, right? Do not be shocked. It's a snake, damn it. It's going to bite you. Don't be picking it up. Don't be bringing it home. It's just, it's its nature. It's its nature. And Don and Candace's nature is evil. They're human snakes. That's my opinion. I'll keep it. This right here. Ronnie Lawson and his team should have been looking at Candace's Facebook ASAP. That's they have detectives. A detective should have been going through that Facebook the minute Summer came up missing. A detective should have been in that Facebook looking at this. And when a detective put 2 and 2 together that these two was together that day at that swimming hole, and that child ended up propped up on those milk jugs, the detective should have been pulling them both in right then and there for questioning. Because this shit right here don't look right. You tell me the last time you went putting your arm around one of your son's friends like this and taking pictures. You tell me when's the last time you were hanging around with one of your son's friends the way Candace hangs around with these boys. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I ain't ever hung around any of my kids' friends like that. And my kids have a lot of friends. But I am not hanging around with them. I am not taking pictures with them. I am not doing nothing with them, period. I'm a mother freaking adult. I'm a parent. Who in the hell does what she does? My kids have friends over. I'm not in a game room playing games. I'm not, I don't want to be where they are. I've got things to do. I'm the adult. I got to make sure they're behaving themselves. I got to make sure, that they're not destroying nothing. I got to make sure that everything's operating right. I got to make sure these kids, get home safe. I got a lot to think about other than, hanging all over one of these kids. That's crazy. That's insane. I would not want no one doing that to my child, and I do not do it to someone else's. That's bullshit. Man, you're an adult. Act like it. Exactly. Never, never. Nope. Right? Not ever. No adult person has. I'm going to tell you something. I hang with my kids on the weekends for a while. If we go out shopping, or we have errands to run, or we're going to visit people, or I watch my kids at home if I get some free time, which I very seldom do, but if I get some free time, and it's just like me and my kids running around the house, then sometimes um, I will play some video games with them for a little bit, or watch a movie with them, some TV. Sometimes we'll play like Bible trivia, right? I play Bible trivia with my kids, um, things like that. But like if they have friends around, then they hang with their friends. They stay occupied. It's their job to keep an eye on their friend. Then you bring them in the house, then you watch them and make sure they get out of the house. I mean, that's my rule. And if you bring them in the house and I walk into a room and they're there and you're not, then you won't be bringing no friends in for a long time because you didn't follow the rules. That's just the way it is. You're responsible. You want to bring them in, you're responsible for them. Not me. I'm responsible for everything else, right? I'm responsible to keep the place clean. I'm responsible to keep the place safe. I'm responsible to, make sure that no arguments or anything breaks out, or, I'm responsible to make sure everything's going right and that these kids get home safe. And that's it. It's just the way it is. But there's old Freddie boy. There's Fred. And Candace, law enforcement dropped the ball on this case so mother freaking bad. I cannot believe it was an accident. I just put a one in the chat if it's hard to believe. If you feel it's hard to believe that they dropped the ball in this case that much by accident. No way in fucking hell could they have done that. It's not even plausible. They didn't search, they did not search Allison's house. They did not pull Hunter in for questioning. They did not pull Allison in for questioning. They did not pull Candace, Grandis, and Dawn in for questioning. They did not pull the boys in immediately for questioning. I mean, really? They take a hand-picked 20 people and go out there and walking around in the woods for freaking almost 2 weeks. That was the extent. That was the extent of Summer's case. Let's look through the woods. Okay, we've looked for her for a week and a half now. We've basically drained all of our resources. In a week and a half, we drained all of our resources. There's not really nothing else we can do. We're gonna have to wait for 4 or 5 months till the foliage goes down. Then we'll come back out and we'll, on the worst day ever, after a big giant rain, a big ass storm, we're going to come out now and we're going to use that as an excuse to why we couldn't, we searched, but we didn't overly search. And we've come to the conclusion if she was out there, we would have found her. We'd have found, evidence that she was there and something bad happened, like an animal got her. And we didn't find any of that. So she probably didn't wander off. We're back to square one. But we're going to stay on wandering off, even though we know she fucking didn't, because it just seems to be like a safe place for us, and an excuse not to do anything else about foul play, right? And then they hid the fact that the Wells did not cooperate from day one. They didn't, they hid the fact that the Wells didn't really speak with them or talk to them fucking at all. They hid the fact, they hid all of this stuff. They hid everything. Everything that said foul play, guilty. They hid it. And now it's coming out. 5 years later, when Ronnie Lawson's going out the door, don't let it hit him where the good Lord split him. It's all coming out. Right? Yeah. And then he sits there and says, "Oh, I suspect they're hiding something. I expected them to be guilty bastards the whole time, but some reasons I just don't want to talk about it." Basically, he's saying, I knew they did it, but I done nothing about it. Right? Put a 1 in the chat if you agree. I knew they did it, but I didn't do nothing about it. That's pretty much what we heard out of his mouth. My question is why? Why did you not do nothing? Yeah, they didn't hit a brick wall. Ronnie Lawson's as same as told us that he knew and he done nothing. That's what he told us. He basically sat there and said, they're guilty as hell, but I didn't do anything. That's my opinion. I'll keep it. Because that's what I heard. That's what my ears heard. That's what I read between all the lines. And, I just call it the way I see it. And, if we could sit here and figure out exactly what the hell happened to this little girl, from morning to the time that they took her somewhere to hide her, law enforcement sure to hell could have figured that out. And why won't they go over there and look in Timothy Morson's grave? Why won't they go over there and look in that grave? Because this is, and not only that, but let me tell you something that really, that really irritates me. Fred and Laura's been lying the whole time because Fred said that Chad Arnold said when he came into the holler, Candace was in her vehicle out on the road. And she got out and asked him, if Fred and Laura was home. And he said, their vehicle's not here, so I doubt if they are. And she gets in her vehicle and follows him out of the holler, is what Fred and Laura and them were saying. Well, Fred just recently was saying that Candace was coming off of his driveway, that Candace was on his property when Chad saw her, that she had been up to his house looking for them. You know, he can't keep the story straight. Why? Because it's all a lie. I'm going to tell you exactly what I believe. I believe that Candace went down there. I believe that Marlena Crawford let Candace know that Chad was on his way. And that's when Candace put the phone on the back of Don's truck and come off the hill the first time, went down and met up with Chad at Fred's. I believe Fred and Laura was there. That's my opinion. I believe they were there when Candace came down and met up with Chad. And I believe that, this is my opinion, I believe that Cotton Simpson was there as well. I don't know if he came there with Chad. I don't know if he was already there, but I do believe he was there. And he saw Summer in a tote. He called it a box, but I believe that he saw her in that tote. And I think it freaked him out. I think it, he wasn't expecting all of this. And I think that Candace followed Chad out of there because there was an open grave across the road, and that would be the last place anyone would have looked. That's true. That's just my opinion. I'll keep it. But anyway, they can't keep the story straight because they're all lying. Now, Laura, I do believe that Fred may have went out of there so he would have a alibi. And, for what had went down prior. I think he may have needed an alibi. So they may have went to the junkyard with a vehicle to scrap. That's what I'm thinking. And they might have went to the store and then act like they was coming back in and didn't know a damn thing about anything at the beginning. I was wondering, like JodiSue, Don, Candace, and Grandis, what I understand, what they was doing. They did what they did to cover, to do what they done because they were, running an operation that should not be ran, right? Anywhere on the face of this earth when it comes to children. I understand JodiSue and Andy helping to cover things up because Andy, JodiSue let the cat out of the bag, right? She said he was given, he was supplying the stuff to sedate these kids so they could be touched. So Don and Candace, you understand why them two, all of them were in on this. You had to wonder what, where was Fred at in this? Well, I think he's money motivated, right? Because Don made a statement to me. He said, give Fred Hill $5 and he'll do anything. That's what Don Wells said. Give him $5 and he'll do anything. And Don laughed as if it's true. So I do think it was money motivation where Fred, was concerned in all of this. The planning started right here. Right there is where the planning started. That child was sick. She was sick. And I think, just my opinion, I think Don and Candace knew it. And I think they was actually thinking, thinking about possibly getting her some help. And they cut all of her hair off, so that it couldn't be tested for substances. But, I think Fred and Laura let them know that, about nail clippings. Oh, you go ahead and take her, but they're going to do nail clippings, and it's going to tell. And then they got too scared. I think they was going to try. They were thinking about it, but they got too afraid of whatever the problem was. They got too scared. I think they was going to blame it on someone else, did it. But if they tested the child and there's illegal substances in the child, then that's going to tell the whole story, regardless to what anybody else is saying. It's going to, no matter what they try to coach Summer into saying, what they planned on saying, it just wasn't going to work, because it's going to show that this child had been being sedated. So now, it's plan B, right? It went to plan B. And plan B was to go to a swimming hole, do what they was going to do, and blame it on someone else. As you can see, Summer's sick. Summer is sick. Look at the other little girl. She's all healthy, standing up straight, showing no signs of anything. Summer is showing signs. She's bad off. And, and there's nothing they could do other than destroy her in order to keep from going to prison. That's just my opinion. I'll keep it. And why law enforcement couldn't look over this stuff and figure it out, I have no damn idea. This was the end result of it. I mean, this is totally staged. Her arm is tucked behind, behind. And Candace lied in the front seat. She totally, in the video, says, oh, I wanted to see if her arms were still up over her head, like her daddy, if her arms were still up. And the video goes off. No, what you wanted was to show that you were heading back home and Summer's still with you. You wanted to show, so you could claim abduction. That's what you wanted. Well, this child's in the back seat, unalived, getting ready to be taken and hidden somewhere, so law enforcement won't be able to find it and solve the case. You think nobody, no prosecution. You learned that with Rose. That's why you had to hide her away. You didn't dress her after swimming because she wasn't alive to dress. You wanted to get the hell out of there. You wanted to get back to Allison's place. And you wanted to get her cleaned up and dressed up and staged up to get back to the house to meet up with the second part of what was going to go down. Just carrying out the second half of it. Done carried out the first half at the swimming hole with Hunter. That's just my opinion. That child is definitely staged on those milk jugs. There's no way in hell she could have had her arms up over her head when her one arm right there is pinned against the damn milk jug to hold her in place. Look at the hood of her jacket. It was used to prop her up. It's supposed to be behind her, not pulled to one side because it was used to prop her there. These people did nothing but lie. This is all staged. Everything's staged. This little girl is no longer with us. Law enforcement, this don't take a rocket scientist to figure this one out. It don't take no rocket scientist. You could see that they got a box on the floor pinning in the jug that's laying down. You could tell that they got the other jug pinned in. You can tell that they got her arm pinned in behind this to hold her. The seatbelt tight as hell to hold her in. I mean, this is staged so bad that it's pathetic. And the sad thing is, you can tell she's got makeup on. You could see, you could see death already setting in. You could just look at this and see it. A blind man could see it. They should have, if they'd have took Hunter in that night and told him they're going to give him an opportunity to come clean because Candace and Grandis is over there saying some stuff, he would have spilled the beans, baby. He'd have spilled it all. He'd have told everything, and this case would have been solved. Why was it not solved? And why did law enforcement go up to Ben Hill Road when Don was in jail and bust in the door and look in that safe? Was they really looking for, some real, ammo? Or was they looking for some video footage? Was they looking for some, video footage that Don sells for $5,000, like of his boss? What was they looking for? And because they didn't find it, the case ain't solved? That sounds a little weird and suspicious to me. I don't know. But it sounded like Don Wells wanted to come out and let everybody know. He wanted to use his boss and the video of his boss to let everybody know why this case ain't been solved. Because when he talked about his boss, he said he's a highly, influenced person in that community, right? This guy's a big wig. So Don's saying, some big people, they got footage of some big people who don't want to get exposed if they get exposed. Put a 1 in the chat if you agree with that. That's what it's sounding like to me, and it's sounding to me like that's the reason this shit ain't getting solved. Just saying. Because that's the only thing I can figure with a cut and dry case like this. Something big's getting covered up. Something bigger than us. That's my opinion. I'll keep it. Right there, Summer is. See her brother helping her? She's sick, man. Look. This kid's on the ground and she can't hardly even get up. And this other picture of her at church, it was taken way earlier. And look at her. She was sick. She was sick for a long time. She was going downhill. From the time they shaved her head, they knew something was very bad wrong. And yeah. And they was plotting against her. Right there. Right there's old Donnie boy driving the Subaru so he'll have an extra alibi when it all went down. And he fired his co-worker to blame it on, right? That right there tells you the shit was planned. That right there tells you that these people plotted against an innocent 5-year-old little girl that they fucking was abusing, using, and destroying. Who the hell does that? What kind of fucking evil would you call that? What kind of evil is that? I think that's the darkest, ugliest, most hell-bound type of evilness you can do. I don't think you get no more evil than this. I've seen some really super evil human beings in this world, but when you mess with children, man, you are on the low of the low, freaking low, right? And I'm going to tell you something. Those people down there on that low, 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 they better be ready for them demons when they hit hell wide open. They better be ready for those same demons that they entertained within themselves and thought it was so cool to be doing all of that evilness with them demons. They better get ready for those same demons to be doing it all back to them. The only thing is, the demon ain't going to be on the inside, it's going to be on the outside in hell. And they're going to be in the seat that they put everybody else in. Oh, PG, how do you know that? Because I'm going to tell you something. There's people who actually died and went to hell. And they know what went on in hell because they've seen it. You think I don't believe that people can go to hell and see what hell is like? I do believe it. You think I don't, just like you think I don't believe that people can die and go to heaven and see what a wonderful place it is, but they ain't allowed to stay. They got to come back. I've seen heaven myself. I've seen it myself. So don't tell me what can be seen and not seen. It's a beautiful place. And everyone has a job to do. Every last one of us. And you've only got so long to get everything that's supposed to be done. Right? These people think they got away with something. You ain't got away with nothing. Evil people on this earth, they think they're getting away with shit. You ain't getting away with anything. Trust and believe me. You're getting away with nothing. You're going to pay for everything you do. Let it be good or bad. You're going to pay for everything you do. Right there. There's the coworker he blamed it on. And the coworker's showing how they come out of the house with Summer and took her somewhere. They took her somewhere. And even he said she looked like she sedated. She was asleep. They was wondering why he was wondering why they didn't leave the sleeping kid at home with the grandma instead of all the ones that were awake. You take awake children. If you're going to the store, you're going somewhere, you take the kids that are awake and leave the ones sleeping at home, right? That's common sense. Even he found that suspicious. Right there. Right there. That's good old Andy. That's good old Andy. The one that supposedly was, giving up the stuff to sedate the children. The one that's supposed to saw Summer's on live body when he was screaming at his son. That JodiSue failed to mention was there. Right? JodiSue said, he was talking to my daughter and us. She didn't mention her son. No, her daughter said, he was talking to me and Bub. Pretty much Bub. Well, Bub's the one supposed to have been in the pool. The one thing Fred lacked to tell everybody is, why was you at Don and Candace's house, Fred, the day that you saw this guy in the pool? I mean, you keep telling us about this guy being in a pool, but what was you there for? Why were you there? Right? And why was you there if Don wasn't home? Now, you told me Donald was there, but you told Chris he wasn't. So why was you there if Don was not home? What business will you have on a hill if the man of the house ain't home? That's a question for you. Why don't you and Ziggy put your heads together, make an ass out of yourself, and think of something to say about that? Why don't you do that for me? That little thing right there. Innocent little girl. An innocent child that had a whole life ahead of it, but didn't get to live it because of pure evilness, right? Pure evilness. A bunch of grown-ass fucking adults. A bunch of freaking old people. Like, these motherfuckers are middle-aged people. A bunch of old people. How sick is that? How freaking sick is it? And look at this. All of them. All of them criminals, right? That Grandis, trust me, that woman's as criminal-minded as the rest. And why? And why would they? Why? I understand, okay? I understand why they put flowers at the swimming hole when they were memorializing Summer back in 2025. But why the hell did they put flowers on Timothy Morrison's grave? Take a look at it. Why would they put flowers there? Why? I can understand the lights around Summer's wing. I can understand flowers at the swimming hole. But why Timothy Morrison's grave? And why is law enforcement not looking into this? Why? I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea. Take a look at this picture right here, y'all. Because I'm going to tell you what. There's only 4 people still alive here. Only 4. Cotton, gone. Crawford, gone. Jose, gone. Leslie, gone. Some are gone. Allison, gone. But who's left? The most evil pieces of shit known to man. Right? The very fucks that plotted, planned, and carried out. Still there. That's my opinion. I'm going to keep it too. You take a look at this picture. Because that is what they destroyed. That's what they used, they abused, they tortured. They didn't cause that child nothing but misery and pain and suffering. 5 long years. 5 long years of pure hell. Pure hell. And not just for her, but her brothers who had endured it even longer. 3 brothers who endured it even longer because them people were evil, sick, twisted, minded. Snakes. Vipers. But who won? Who won in all of this? Them evil people didn't win. They did not win. They haven't won nothing. That little girl right there is the winner. She's where we want to be, ain't she? She just got there early. She just got there early. That little girl, she's the winner. Because you know what? She won eternal life. She won eternal life. Something I'm not sure that these evil people are going to get. I'm not sure they will ever have that. She's the winner. And they're going to know that when she's looking down on them. Well, she's looking down on them while they're in hell. Right? Because they're not going to change. Evil like that does not change. Do you think that they're going to wake up and all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, become holier than thou? No. They got substance abuse issues. They got evil, twisted, dirty, low-life minds. They got demons bigger than freaking mules inside of them that they cannot get rid of. They're sick. They're twisted. And they're going to forever be that way. That's the way they're going to go out of the world when their number's called. When the Lord calls them, that's how they're going. That's my opinion too. I don't think there's any hope for them. I'm just calling it the way I see it. You know, people say, oh, anybody can be saved. Well, I'm going to tell you something. You know, people like to say, oh, you know, Paul in the Bible was, you know, a murderer. They like to say David, was stepping out, doing stuff. They like to say all these things. You know, they want to act like all these people, all had sin and they still good people. Where did you read in the Bible that anybody did what the whales have done to a child? Because when Jesus set the child on his, lap, he said, woes to anyone that does anything evil to a child. You might as well put a millstone around your neck. Right? You better not be hurting or doing anything bad or evil to a child. Because them children belong to God Almighty. And they will have a place in heaven because they are innocent. They don't even know right from wrong. They're not able to defend themselves. They know not what these sick, evil people do to them or why they do it. They cannot process the evilness. That evil people inflict upon them. Therefore, they will have a place in heaven. And I believe Summer does, as we speak. She won. She won. She already won, Candace. You hear me? She already won. She's just more beautiful. She's just way more beautiful now, Candace. Up in heaven, take a look at her. Take a look at what you were so damn jealous of. Because it wasn't ever jealous of you. She's where your ass is going to wish you was when you're sitting in hell one day. And I'm not going to say that's my opinion, because I honestly believe it's the truth. I don't see you getting through no pearly gates, Candace. You're too fucking evil. You're too black-hearted. Or no heart at all. You gotta have mercy to obtain mercy. You and that piece of shit you're laying around with have no mercy. If you had any mercy, you couldn't have did what you done to all them babies. All those little children who didn't ask for any of it. Well, all them children, they have a chance You have a chance of getting into the pearly gate. I'm not sure. I don't think you do. I'm gonna call it like I see it. I don't think you do. I think somebody that did what you fuckers done ain't getting in no heaven. That's just my opinion. I will keep that. I mean, it's not like they just, it's not like they just abused the kids. You know what I'm saying? Like whooped them. Um, you know, neglected them. It's not like that. These mother freakers were doing some evil, evil, evil stuff to these kids. They were doing like the ultimate evil plus everything else. Them children didn't have a chance. They did not have a chance being around that kind of evil. But yet Tim Mullins thought that these kids should be back on that freaking hill. What is wrong with him? What is mentally wrong with that man? And what dog does he have in this race? Because he's had his ear to the ground as much as JodiSue. And it sure didn't seem like he was a stranger to the rain when he came around the wells. Matter of fact, it was like he knew him for a long time. Just saying. Well, PG's little girl, I'm not going to disregard that. I will not disregard that. Laura said that Fred Hill and her took a Ford Escort hatchback, bluish gray, to the scrapyard. Said they made it to the scrapyard with this particular vehicle, which in the trunk, it has this compartment right here. After this compartment right here, there is another compartment. Right there. And then after this compartment right here, there is another one. There's a third one. Now, if you was to conceal something here, and it has this over top of it, and then this over top of it, with a whole lot of other junk in there, it could be crushed without anyone looking. It could very well be crushed without anyone bothering to check it. But there's a very good chance that it hasn't been crushed yet. And it can still be checked. Because some of those cars sit in there for 10 to 20 years before they're crushed. Because the place is so backed up that they may not get to it for a long, long, long time. Why didn't law enforcement check this vehicle? Why didn't they look, find, and check this vehicle? I don't know. Because I sure the hell would have. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you have checked this vehicle? Wouldn't you have checked that cemetery, that particular gravesite? I'm going to tell you something. If that was your child, would you or would you not be demanding that law enforcement check this vehicle and check that gravesite? I know I sure would. But Don and Candace wasn't demanding nothing to be checked. Why? Why? Because they already know. Right? That's why. I won't say my opinion because I believe it's the damn truth.
Something like that happened, Boo. Oh, I remember what I asked him, because if something like that happened and he did tow out something that had a body in it, he would not have been aware of it. It would have had to have been that. I did ask him if he thinks there's a chance that Candace or somebody stashed Summer in one of the vehicles that he was towing out that day.
I asked Fred, and he said, yeah, they could have stashed her in the vehicle. Candace could have stashed her in one of them vehicles. Well, the only vehicle they had was right here. That's it. This is it. Right there, baby. Take a look. And she could have very much been in it. She could have very much been in it. Absolutely could have been in it. Yep. It was a car that Fred had. It was a vehicle that Fred Hill had and it had to have been in his or Laura's name for him to go to the crusher with it. For him to go to a junkyard, it has to be in your name to junk it. You have to show proof that this is your vehicle in order to scrap it out. So it wouldn't be hard for law enforcement to find it. It's under Fred or Laura's name, right? Wouldn't be hard at all. As we go out of here tonight, I'm going to ask everybody to pray for this little girl. I don't ever leave here without asking you to pray for her. Pray for all of these other missing children. Too many children are being destroyed in this world by the hands of evilness. We want those hands to be stopped. We want our laws to be stiffer. We want these children to be allowed to be children and grow up and become whatever they want to become. These children are our future, and they're being destroyed every day. Something needs to change. And it's all of our jobs, the voice of the voiceless, to do what it takes to get it changed. You know, the funny thing is you have all of these presidents' wives, and they take on a good cause, right? They take on a good cause, teaching children to more reading, right? More summertime reading, more summertime, brain power instead of building muscle like children need to do. Just get out, play, be a kid. No, let's school them all year round like China does. Why the hell does America care what China's doing? We're the most powerful country in the world, and our children have always gotten off on summer breaks to just be a child. Why try to become someone else when whatever we're doing is already working and making the most powerful people in the world? We're supposed to be leaders, not followers. But why don't one of those presidents' wives, why don't one of them step up for this cause? Why don't they step up for these missing children? Why don't they step up to make stiffer penalties for people who hurt children? Why don't they step up to get cases solved at all cost and get this evil the hell off the street so no other children will be done like that? Why don't they step up and intervene before it gets to this point? Why don't they step up and bring awareness that this kind of evil exists and people who don't do this kind of stuff needs to watch their kids so it doesn't happen? Why don't they take on a cause that's worth taking on? They take on a cause to take the food away from children at school, like Obama's old lady. Let's take the kids that don't hardly get nothing to eat already. Let's take their food. Let's make it less. Let's make their kids' meals less. And they already ain't getting nothing anyway. Well, she's having Big Macs and double shakes and large fries. Let's take what little they get away. Why don't they ever step up for something worth stepping up for? That's my question. This country is just going to hell, to be honest. It's going downhill like a snowball in hell. It's like nobody cares. Nobody cares how evil this country gets. Nobody cares if anyone else is safe anymore. Nobody cares. The people who should be caring don't. People say, well, what can we do? When the people that can that have, have the authority and control to do something ain't doing nothing, what can we do? Well, we can raise our voices up. A multitude of voices will get attention. We got to rise up. We got to demand that our country becomes safer for our children's sakes and for their children's sakes and for their children's sake. I'm going to tell you, you can't take nothing with you, but you can leave a whole lot behind. And it's what you left behind that's going to count, whether you go to heaven or hell. And I believe stiffer laws for people who hurt children should be left behind. I think getting evil off our streets to make it safe for everyone is worth it's worth it. Absolutely worth it. We're going to have to wait. We're going to have to wait to see who's the next president. We're going to have to ask that president's wife to make this a priority. That's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to step up and leave good stuff behind. Because if we don't, what we're going to leave behind is that evilness that needed to be addressed and taken off our streets for the sake of these children. Quentin Simon, gone at the hands of evilness. Michael Vaughn, gone at the hands of evilness. These two babies, gone at the hands of evilness. 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 All of them gone at the hands of evilness. They're in the hands of righteousness now. But they should have still been here. They had every right to be here. It was Michael Vaughn's birthday on the 24th. They had to have a party in heaven because evilness kept them from having one on earth. Good night, everybody. God bless. Much love.